sir, welcome to the podcast with me, Dr. Anamika Chawhan. It's a privilege to have you here and a great honor because I know how much time it takes to be at a level where you are imparting such precious knowledge, and that too bringing the ancient India's knowledge to the world, not just a small sector, but actually you are going leaps and bounds to share and spread this knowledge. So thank you so much for taking this time out.
Thank you, Dr. Anamika, for making me part of your show. And it's actually my privilege and God's grace that I'm doing this wonderful work of spreading India's wisdom.
Thank you, sir. And so to begin this podcast, I have a very simple question to ask, especially for a younger generation. So the younger generation is so tech savvy; they are so much on spending time on social media. Now, when I see you, I see as an icon who is representing not just Chanakya Niti but also so many other wisdom. Why should this young generation should learn from our ancient knowledge?
Whichever generation, see, the wisdom is always eternal. It is not just ancient. Yes. And if you look at every part of the world, not only India, I think every country has got a culture which is ancient, but you can learn from the wisdom of that particular culture. For example, if you look at the Greeks,
yes.
So they have their own history and their own philosophy since Socrates, Plato, Aristotle. If you look at the Chinese, they have Confucius theory. If you look at other cultures also, Europe, American, everybody gets inspired by their forefathers and the wisdom of the past.
Right.
I think we are more fortunate as a country that our wisdom is not just about 100, 300 years old, it's thousands of years old.
Right.
And age after age, generation after generation, this wisdom only has been refined.
Yes, sir.
So if you were to use the phrase in Hindi, जिसे ढूंढा गली गली घर के पिछवाड़े मिली. So when you search across the globe, finally you find that Indian wisdom is what the world also wants.
Yes.
So I realized this in my own research and study that Chanakya or ancient Indian wisdom has got so many principles that can guide every generation. So my mission in life has been taking into the common man and especially the tech-savvy youth generation. I remember when I was young, we did not have access to internet or so much free-flowing information. But today, if I want to know anything, I can just go on Google and just type it. I don't even have to go to a library physically. And it was such an important thing for us. Going to school, college, library was the starting point of knowledge. But today, you can be the tip of your fingertip, you can do it. But what are you searching on the internet? That is very important. It can be crap, it can be gossip also, it can be anything that can spoil your mind. So better to use the modern technology for researching on something that can be valuable for you. Right. So in the field called Indology, it's the system of Indian sciences as we call it. Indology is a word where all the Indian systems like Ayurveda, yoga, knowledge, everything comes in. And I've been fortunate to contribute in the field of Chanakya in that particular thing. And I've been very fortunate, Anamika ji, that actually most of my followers are the youth. Yes. So whenever I go to the colleges, I find it's very surprising that it is the students who organize more of my programs than teachers.
Right.
So it's a privilege that the youth are actually following our ancient Indian wisdom.
Right, sir. So yes, it is fascinating. Chanakya himself is so fascinating, and we always, somehow there are certain situations in our life where we come across such fascinating people or characters through whom we start learning so much. So, sir, I want you to, if you can share, what was the situation or a point of your life where you came across Chanakya Niti or his wisdom, and you felt this is it. I have found my guru and purpose of life too.
So I think the best things in life happen when you're not planning it.
Right.
No, in fact, if you look at it, everybody who's successful, and if you ask them, how did you choose this field? They say, I never actually chose it, just happened by accident. I will tell you that positive accident that happened in my life. I remember I was working then in a company and, I was in Mumbai only, and there is a place called as Mahalakshmi. There's a very famous temple over there. So I was in that particular area and I had some 1 hour break between 2 meetings. I said, kya kare? So bachpan se, right from the childhood, I had a habit of reading books. So there was this particular bookstall called as Motilal Banarsi Das. Okay, it's a very old bookshop and they published a lot of Indology books, again ancient wisdom, right from mantra, yantra, yoga, etc. on meditation, everything connected to spirituality and Indian wisdom. So I said, chalo yaar, thoda andar jate hain. I got 1 hour to kill.
Yes.
So I just went inside, and let me tell you very frankly, I always love books. I keep collecting books. But there was one section, where there were old books. Sometimes there are some books which are thrown away because maybe the pages 1 or 2 are torn. Maybe, it's got moisture. You cannot buy it at the full price. So there was one section. I said, chalo, let me have a look at that also. And the best part is that they were underpriced. So if the book is 200 rupees, they'll say, take it for 100 rupees. Better to have some income rather than throwing it away. I said, let me find out, because I didn't have too much money at that particular time. I just browsed through the book and I came to a fat book called 𝐒𝐚𝐴 Arthashastra. I said, wow, 𝐒𝐚𝐴 Arthashastra? I think it's connected to Chanakya. When I heard somewhere, I had never studied it. I took up that particular copy, I just went through it. And the good news is that it was only 90 rupees. So something which was on 300 rupees, they're saying okay. And I actually only had 100 rupees at that time. I said, let me purchase it, because I'm a book lover. And I just took it and then went for my meeting. And here is the starting point. It just came to me. And then I studied it, I read it, I didn't understand anything. So here is the starting point. I just bought it because it was cheap. Like many of us buy a lot of things because of discount, not really because we want to buy it. It's like 1 + 1 free. This was almost free for me. So I picked it up, I read it. Let me tell you, it was very difficult. And so what is all these things? Governance, leadership, Chanakya, nothing. But then, I said, no. I've heard that Indian wisdom is very much eternal. I had done some readings initially about Indian management systems. Mm-hmm. And there somebody had mentioned about Chanakya. I said, let me try it. Then I actually started researching more in the language of Sanskrit. Again, I did not understand anything. But finally I went to Kerala. I studied the whole 6,000 sutras in original Sanskrit. Wow. And that is the time my life completely changed. And I still remember this, I had been to Kailash Mansarovar. And first time when I saw the Kailash mountain, it's a very divine place. I don't know, it came into my mind that I should actually dedicate my whole life to study and the popularity of Chanakya. I thought it's just a whimsical thought, something coming in Kailash. And my wife was with me at that particular time. I told her, this thought is coming to me again and again. You should study Arthashastra and give your life to it. Then she said, I think there's a message from the divine for you. Then actually it really turned out that till now, it's been 22 years. They've been studying and teaching Chanakya, and there is no looking back. So I accidentally came across that book, and today, every day, I'm going through many accidents and I'm enjoying it.
That's super amazing story. Thank you for sharing, sir. In fact, this also reminds me of one thing, that since you are into training and coaching so many people, I remember one particular statement which you had mentioned in one of the workshops which I had attended, and it was lucky for me that I attended and I could make up to that workshop and be there in person to hear from you. You said, kingmakers, coaches are the kingmakers. So we don't have to worry about our job. We can never go out of job, because kingmakers are the ones who make or break a king. I mean, it is up to them. So any king may come and go, but kingmakers are forever going to stay. And Chanakya is the one who is the kingmaker. Right. So, sir, in your early days, when you were writing the book Corporate Chanakya, how you felt that what amount of research, as you were doing, so much amount of research you must have done. Was there any fascinating or aha moment when you were writing this book and while researching for writing this book?
Dr. Anamika, you yourself have done your Ph.D. from IIT Bombay. And I'll tell you, researchers have a very strange mindset.
Yes.
Actually, research never ends. It's a continuous process. When you find a solution to a problem, a new problem comes up. And then you do more research. Then you find a new solution, again you find a new problem. So it's like a wave. The moment you go to the top, you again come down.
Yes.
So I think, every time I write on Chanakya, I read about Chanakya, research on Chanakya, I find solution, but a new problem always keep coming. I think that is life. But always I've gone back to Chanakya and found a new solution. So imagine I've written 21 books on Chanakya.
Right. I know
Every
that.
Every time I look at one new subject and say, what would Chanakya say? For example, Corporate Chanakya was purely for business people.
Yes.
Okay, that's done. Then we say, okay, let us look at non-Chanakya from business, but as you said, from leadership. Can Chanakya and his wisdom guide us for modern day leaders? So my second book came in, which is called Chanakya 7 Secrets of Leadership. Another research question came in. Can you influence the youth? That's when I wrote the book Chanakya in You. It became a national bestseller, all the books. And then of course I got the award also. And then I said, can I write for children? Then I wrote a book called Chatur Chanakya.
Yes.
Every time a new dimension comes in, a new research question comes in.
Yes.
And as you know, since you've done a PhD, there is something called hypothesis.
Yes.
So there is a problem and there's a hypothesis statement. So you say, maybe Chanakya has got a solution. And I've been very fortunate, there will be not a single day it has gone where, Chanakya has not offered solution for a modern day problem.
Right. So how Chanakya has impacted your life?
Everything, inside and outside. If I remember this, I had gone to a meeting of our school alumni friends. Everybody, as you know, I'm sure everybody meets now because of the WhatsApp and the connectivity.
Yes.
So we had a school meet where, I have passed out from my school almost 22 years ago. Not 22 years, actually 1990. So say 32 years ago. So when I met them, I can see the difference outside. All the friends say, "Arey, Radhakrishnan aa gaya, apna Radha." And everybody is taking selfies with me, and I was feeling so strange. I said, "Okay, listen, I'm normal. I'm like one of you only." And then one of my friends actually, started making fun of me. I said, "That's fine. We are all friends, as we say, chaddi buddies." And then one person who is in the army, we always looked up on him.
Yeah.
He actually came, took a video and a selfie. And then, I forgot. Then after all that meeting, next day, the other friend who had actually made fun of me, he called me up and said, "I'm sorry." I said, "Why are you feeling sorry?" He said, "For me, you are still that Radha in school. But I should be very careful talking to you because you're no more Radhakrishnan Pillai, you're Dr. Radhakrishnan Pillai."
You are the Radhakrishna, it's not just Radhakrishnan.
Yeah. So he was feeling guilty that I can't make fun of Radha anymore.
Right.
I said, no, you don't worry about all those things. I never take it personally because among friends, you have the privilege and the advantage of laughing at each other. That is the first time I came to know that, outside my own friends and family are actually surprised. Okay, this is not the same Radha that we came to know. So that's how Chanakya transformed me externally. Of course, I got a lot of name, fame, glory. I've traveled across the globe. Today, I teach in universities where I never could get admission. I remember institutes like IITs and ISBs. I teach in the Indian Armed Forces. I have taught in Oxford. I have taught in Cambridge. So think about the kind of institution that I travel globally and teach. It could have never been possible without Chanakya. Now this is external. Now coming to internal. Believe me, Chanakya Niti has become part of my mind now.
Right.
And if you ask me any question, the answer actually comes out.
Right.
It's very, very natural for me. I don't prepare for any, questions, anything like that. So whenever I see that, how come you are having this kind of a mindset? So any problem of any type, if you ask me, I can give a Chanakya solution.
Right.
So not only externally, but it's also transforming internally. That's what Chanakya's benefit to me has been.
Right, sir. Right. So for the complex problems, Chanakya Niti stands very relevant, right? Now, have you ever come across a problem which Chanakya Niti doesn't have a solution?
So as I told you, I am surprised that I am able to find lot of solutions from Chanakya. And till now, I have not been able to see any particular problem which he cannot solve.
Right. So how do you look at the world problems? Like, for example, we have this war, Russia-Ukrain war. What would Chanakya suggest to these kind of incidences happening across the planet?
Yeah. So first, let us analyze the problem. Chanakya always says, whatever be the problem, try to analyze it. Now, if you look at across the globe, based Russia-Ukraine problem, or look at what China is doing,
yes,
or any particular country, why do they do it? The first question.
Okay.
There are many reasons for it. But remember, both of them are actually leaders of the world. They are very developed economies. Both Russia and China have lot of money with them. And look at, somebody like a Putin or somebody like, the Chinese people. For them, they want to expand their territory. That's why they do this. So actually, Chanakya talks about that there is a concept called as 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐞𝐝.
Right.
Not many people are aware of it. What is 𝐒𝐩𝐞𝐞𝐝? Somebody wants to be the world conqueror. And across generation, people want to conquer the world. Be it Alexander, be it Napoleon, be it the British colonial empire.
Right.
I think every particular country and its leader want to become number one in the world. And it's a very natural feeling. Like for example, if I'm playing cricket, I want to win the World Cup. right? So I want to be number one globally. So even in politics, it happens that people want to become number one. And Chanakya says, like a tortoise. If somebody is going to threat you, the tortoise brings the limbs inside. So if suppose you're attacked, let's say Russia is attacking Ukraine or whatever. Ukraine is saying no, I will also come down and I also attack. So even like a snake, if you touch it, it will also attack you.
Yeah.
I think be it small or a big thing, the nature of people in power don't change. And not only the global level problem, you can find this what we call as gully politics. Even the small places we find in villages, we find that the small people with small power want to actually take over each other. It happens in corporates also.
Yes.
We have this particular phenomenon called as mergers and acquisitions, M&A.
Yes.
What is that? The big company wants to take over the smaller company, and everybody wants to be number one in the world. They want their company to be listed in the stock market. They want to be listed in Forbes and Fortune lists.
Right.
So I think Chanakya always says, if you are in the power game, I can make you number one. But there's a difference. Chanakya will always make you number one ethically. That is very important. A lot of people take unethical means.
Right.
But Chanakya would never appreciate that.
So Chanakya won't appreciate this war, Russia and Ukraine.
So again, I'm not a specialist in IR.
Yeah.
IR means international relationship or public policy. I'm not an expert. And to be very frank, as much you know about Russia and Ukraine, so do I. So I would not say, and I always believe that Chanakya says, till you study it, you have no right to comment on it.
Right.
In fact, if you look at it from the Indian side, Russia has been one of the biggest supporters throughout history.
Exactly.
But if you analyze it, I say, there could be one side of the story which we don't know.
Yes.
And I find this on a daily basis, a lot of people come to me with complex problems. It's like I call myself sometimes a business doctor.
Yes, sir. Please carry on.
So they come to me and say, wait, let me analyze it. So there's a process of understanding the background before you actually give the solution. So I'm not the right person to give solutions on the Russia and Ukraine matter.
Right.